Let me tell you something real. A lot of you been doing everything right, showing up on time, being polite, keeping quiet, putting everybody else first, and still you're overlooked,
Talked over.
taken for granted. So you start asking yourself, what more do I gotta do for them to respect me? But that's the wrong question. The truth is, they don't disrespect you because you're a bad person. They disrespect you because you taught them it's allowed. And today, we're gonna talk about that. Being nice without boundaries slowly turns into permission for disrespect, and most people don't even realize when it starts happening. It doesn't happen overnight. It's gradual, quiet. It starts with small compromises you tell yourself don't matter. You stay silent when something feels off. You smile when you should speak. You say yes when your energy is already drained. And every time you do that, you're not being kind. You're training people how to treat you. See, niceness by itself isn't strength. Niceness without limits is fear dressed up as virtue. It's the fear of conflict, the fear of losing people, the fear of not being liked. And the world can sense that. People might not say it out loud, but they feel it. They feel when someone values approval more than self-respect. And once they feel that, they start pushing. Not because they're evil, but because human nature tests what it can get away with. Respect doesn't come from how gentle you are. It comes from how grounded you are. When you stand on something solid, people adjust their behavior. When you know they adjust you, a lot of people confuse being good with being passive. They think tolerance makes them mature. They think patience makes them noble. But patience without boundaries is just endurance of disrespect. It's you carrying a weight that was never yours to hold. And over time, that weight changes you. You become quieter, smaller, more hesitant. Not because you're weak, but because you've been giving pieces of yourself away without asking for anything back. Here's the hard truth most people avoid. When you allow disrespect, you normalize it. Silence becomes agreement. Overgiving becomes expectation. Forgiveness without accountability becomes entitlement. And the more you let it slide, the more people assume it's okay. They don't wake up one day and decide to disrespect you. They just keep doing what you keep allowing. Boundaries aren't walls, they're standards. They don't make you harsh, they make you clear. And clarity makes people uncomfortable, especially those who benefited from your silence. The moment you stop explaining yourself, the moment you stop apologizing for your limits, the moment you stop bending to keep everyone else comfortable, that's when things change. Some people will resist it. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're difficult. They'll say you're selfish. But what they really means is you're no longer easy to control. You're no longer predictable. You're no longer available for misuse. And that's growth. Being nice with boundaries is power. It's saying I care, but I won't sacrifice my dignity. It's knowing when to walk away instead of proving a point. It's understanding that respect doesn't require loudness. It requires firmness. You don't need to argue. You don't need to convince. You just need to enforce. People respect what costs them something to cross. If crossing you costs them access, energy, or presence, they'll think twice. If it costs them nothing, they'll keep stepping. And here's the part most people miss. The right people won't be offended by your boundaries. They'll feel safer around you. They'll trust you more. Because consistency builds respect. When your words and actions match, when your yes means yes and your no means no, people know where you stand. And standing on something solid attracts a different level of energy. Life is a long road. You don't win it by being liked at every mile marker. You win it by protecting your values, your time, your peace. Being nice without boundaries might keep people around, but it won't keep you whole. And being whole matters more than being accepted. So don't shrink to fit spaces that don't honor you. Don't soften your standards to avoid tension. Tension is temporary. Disrespect lasts. Choose the discomfort of setting boundaries over the long-term damage of self-betrayal. Because the moment you stop giving unlimited access to limited people, the dynamic shifts. Not because you demanded respect, but because you finally acted like you deserved it. Respect is built on self-worth, not approval seeking, and that's a lesson most people learn the hard way. Early on, we're taught to fit in, to keep the peace, to be agreeable. We learn that being liked feels safe. It feels like survival. So we start shaping ourselves around other people's expectations. We adjust our tone. We hold back our truth. We trade honesty for harmony. And at first, it seems like it's working. People smile. Doors stay open. But somewhere along the way, respect goes missing because approval is unstable. It changes depending on who's in the room. When you chase it, you give up control. You let other people decide your value. And the moment your value depends on their reaction, you start shrinking. You hesitate. You second guess yourself. You stop standing fully in who you are. People notice that, not consciously, but energetically. They feel when someone doesn't believe in themselves, and that's when respect starts to fade. Self-worth is different. Self-worth is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need permission. It's the internal agreement you make with yourself that you matter, even when nobody is clapping, especially when nobody is clapping. When you have that, you move differently. You speak slower. You don't rush to explain. You don't overextend just to be included. You're not trying to win the room because you already won yourself. People respect certainty, not arrogance, not loud confidence, certainty, the kind that comes from knowing where you stand. When you're rooted in self-worth, you don't chase validation. You attract alignment. You don't force relationships. You filter them. And that shift changes everything. Approval seeking makes you predictable. People know you'll adjust. They know you'll compromise. They know you'll tolerate more than you should. And when someone knows you'll always bend, they stop treating you carefully. Why would they? There's no cost. Respect grows where there's consequence, not punishment consequence. When your presence is valuable and your absence is felt, people move differently around you. A lot of people think respect comes from being impressive, from saying the right things, from being useful. But usefulness without boundaries turns into exploitation. You become the go-to, not the go-with, the helper, not the leader. And leadership energy comes from self-trust, from making decisions even when they're unpopular, from walking away even when it hurts. Self-worth teaches you to be okay with discomfort. Approval seeking teaches you to avoid it. But growth lives in discomfort. So does respect. When you stop needing everyone to understand you, you become harder to manipulate. When you stop explaining your choices, people start listening. Silence backed by self-belief carries more weight than 1,000 justifications. There will be moments when choosing yourself costs you people. That's part of the process. Some connections were built on you needing them more than they needed you. When that balance changes, those connections crack. That's not loss. That's alignment. The ones who stay because they respect you, not because you're convenient. Self-worth also changes how you respond to disrespect. You don't react emotionally. You respond strategically. You don't beg for decency. You remove access. That calm detachment sends a clear message. You know your value and you're not here to negotiate it. That kind of energy doesn't need threats or explanations. It speaks for itself. The long road isn't about collecting approval. It's about building something solid inside so you're not shaken by outside noise. When you're rooted, opinions don't move you. Trends don't sway you. Criticism doesn't break you. And praise doesn't control you either. You stay steady. That steadiness is what people respect. Not perfection, not people pleasing, but consistency. When who you are doesn't change based on who's watching, you become trustworthy. And trust is the foundation of respect. So stop asking, do they like me? And start asking, do I like how I'm showing up? Because the moment you choose self-worth over approval, the dynamic shifts. You stop performing. You start leading, and respect follows, not because you demanded it, but because you built it from the inside out.